Well, I do recognize that I have to be a little bit cautious about what I put up on the YouTube here. And although my basic nature is that of an entertainer, I am also a pretty serious thinker, free thinker, and um, and I'm committed to a serious philosophical, that is, wisdom-driven approach to what I'm trying to communicate. So uh, when I when I get into the character bits, I want you to understand, anyone out there listening and watching, that this is a most serious undertaking we're engaged in here with the rebellion. We have to be very clear about what our purposes are, and we have to define our objectives, and we have to have a serious plan, or at least a framework in which good ideas can be hung, that will enable us to move individually and collectively towards the enlightenment that I believe our times demand of us. I think this does require serious thought. I think that the domination in our society of the theories of economics, which have been largely abused and misunderstood and distorted, have to be confronted. That ends up with that basic confusion ends up with the society we have today, and I'm not going to describe all the challenges that are around us, but certainly the, the gulf between where we are today and where we might very well be, even in as short a time as 5 years, is quite deep, and the hill is quite steep. So to be serious about it, I think we have to have a plan, and I have made it quite clear that I believe that begins with the acknowledgement that our structure has failed. Our form of government has now turned to fascist techniques of police harassment and police engagement with peaceful protests and so on, and this coming from the style of militarism which has invaded us from the United States in its search for neo-colonialism along with Great Britain. I think Canadians are a people. They're a multinational people. They are and would be a United Nations of people if we were able to bring about structural reform in government and governance. And the proposition for that I've been expanding on for 15 years, and it still gets very occasional and very subverted mention in the press, and that is the none of the above option for electoral reform. I won't go into the details of how the Citizens' Assembly took most of the best ideas that I gave to the Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Patterson, in those days, and how at every turn all the politicians of every rank and stripe and have opposed it, because they see politics as being a career option and not what it probably should be, that is a commitment to the well-being of their communities. So the rebellion, I believe, has to begin with us refusing to pay, not to pay. We already have paid, most of us who have any money at all, or any money transferring through our accounts and so on, taxes. And in fact, every time now we buy anything with the HST, we pay taxes. And in fact, that tax was the one that got Mulroney thrown out of office, the goods and services tax, and got Mr. Chrétien in, who promised to remove that. The Liberals promised to remove that tax, and of course they never have. Mr. Van de Zalm woke up the province of British Columbia by challenging it and finding a great response from the common people who know that they're being diddled. Canadians are very long-suffering people. Many people know what I'm preaching these days and what I've been informing people of to the extent of my knowledge. most people know all that stuff. Hey, I'm in someone else's country here. I'm, I'm someone looking in and looking across and around, and I see a great opportunity here for a very, very significant uh, shift in conscious awareness in Canada, and I think that will come about when we take the idea of a joyous rebellion seriously. The 60s almost pulled it off, and then, of course, Johnson and followed by Reagan, Nixon, and all the rest of those scoundrels uh, took us back to varieties of war, and it's time for this peace movement to reassert itself and say, no, we won't vote for any of these people. We're registered to vote. We'll make damn sure that they know we're registered to vote, which of course I can't do. So, and to some extent, because I want to remain somewhat a philosopher and not directly engaged in politics, I can only proffer this as a wisdom that I believe is worth pursuing by people who can. So I'm actually looking for a protagonist to bring the petition, which I've used for many years, which is on my website, which is rainbowcoalition.ca under petition. That petition I've been out on the streets with, and it's a very popular petition. It's not strictly in the form that the Chief Electoral Office has approved, I guess. I don't know. I haven't got into the details of it. I prepared this and sent it to the Lieutenant Governor, and the Queen and the Governor General of Canada, who I thought were the proper responsible people to respond. Of course, none of them have, which tells me there's a big black mark against the monarchy. And I understand that it's a nominal responsibility, but if the Crown is not prepared to do it and the Lieutenant Governor is not prepared to do it, then we need to restructure. And I think we can restructure this country rather easily around a caretaker government. And the caretaker government is based on the concept of the well-being of all of the people, rich and poor alike, and that money should not be an obstacle to achieving a condition where there are no homeless people here, where we are able to settle on the land in an honourable way with honourable settlement with the Aboriginal people, that we can develop local agricultural alternatives. We can re-ruralize our cities. We can bring about solar alternatives. All these things have been with us for years, but have been sat upon by these aged and decrepit thinking, dinosaur politicians who are simply running for office, and ultimately when they get there, they don't know what to do. They said that about Diefenbaker, and it probably could be said to be most of these people, unless of course you get a genuinely psychopathic leader, and I'm afraid we have one or two of those, or have had. Soon they will be gone, I hope, and I'm looking forward to that day. So I think it has to be a firm resolution that we will not fill in any more tax returns. And I'm speaking now to the young men between 17 and 26 in that demographic, and the men between 46 and 59, I believe, is another demographic that are fully in comprehension and understanding of what I'm communicating, and seek to be a part of that peaceful, evolutionary, bloodless coup, I would call it. It's a bloodless coup because it's an end game, in the sense that if people register to vote and then don't vote, in the last election in British Columbia, less than 50% did. Well, let's say for argument's sake it dropped below 30% or even 28%. Then I think we might righteously say we need caretaker government. So I think we are in the end game. And I think they've gone as far as they can go to drop the bomb on us for 2012, and all the fear that the blue meanness and the fascists and the dwellers in bunkers have planned for us, the common people on the planet. Well, I got news for you boys. The best news I have recently is that the intelligence community of the planet have now joined our side and have been turned, I think is the correct word. So now they're working with us, but we're trying to do it in a bloodless way. So we're not encouraging knocking off any of these scoundrels, although many of them, I'm sure the great creator will have a particularly joyous time with, if there is such a thing as hell. Well, God forgive us all for our trespasses, and let us move forward confidently into a new future. I do believe there can be honourable settlement. I do believe we can have the end of the prohibition of marijuana. I do believe we can have a reform of monetarism in the province of British Columbia. I do believe we are one people on the land. I do believe that God, the Creator, is the Trinity of Mother Earth and Father Son, that we're all in the universe, we're not alone. The moon is probably hollow and probably a spaceship filled with angels. That's my hope. Anyway, God forgive me for my arrogance to be talking this way to a bunch of people that I don't even know, but I hope there's something valuable in what I say. Have no fear. The rainbow's here. Happy trails. I know, I have to switch off.